What is going on, guys? This is Daniel, and today I will be breaking down the game from last night between the Wizards and the Trailblazers. I'll be pointing out some things that stood out to me, so let's get to it. Let's start off with the Blazers offense, and here out of the offensive set horns, they set a double staggered screen for CJ McCollum into a dribble handoff, and this gets him a wide open three. The Blazers ran a play called Slice a few times with poor execution, as here Wesley Matthews will receive a shuffle screen toward the basket, and then Damian Lillard will run off a double staggered screen, but there doesn't seem to be a sense of urgency on this play, and they can only get a long two. This is a good play, but notice how here Damian Lillard doesn't even bother to run off the double staggered screen. This completely stalls the offense, but it's nice to have a guy like LaMarcus Aldridge to bail you out on an end of shot clock post up, and he hits a tough shot. Here's a set where a flare screen and a pin down occur simultaneously, and it's not a bad set, but it's not overly clever. My biggest problem with it though is once they don't have an immediate shot, their secondary option is a Chris Kaman post up, which doesn't end well. But like I mentioned last week, the Blazers' biggest strength on offense is their floor spacing, and here on a Steve Blake drive, notice the picture-perfect spacing by the three perimeter shooters, and they hit a three. So I get that Aldridge is a good shooter, but early in the shot clock, 1 foot beneath the three-point line, you can't convince me this is a good shot. Let's move on to the Wizards offense, and here's a nice set where they have some high post action. Portland has no idea what's coming, and then boom, the elevator play, getting Beal a good look at a three if he wants, but here with two Blazers running at him, he drives past them both and gets a good look at a floater. So over time, I've grown to dislike the play floppy, which involves two players on the baseline running off two pin downs because it is so predictable. These defenders have seen this play countless times, they easily defend it, and even worse, the secondary option is a Kevin Seraphin post-up. I much prefer this play, a high post split, where Bradley Beal will receive a down screen into a dribble pitch, and on the weak side, a shooter, Martell Webster, will receive a pin down, and here they find him for a wide open three. Here's a double ball screen for John Wall, with one man popping, Pierce, and one man rolling, Gortat, and they find Pierce and he hits a three. Same double ball screen, but the play simply isn't as effective with Chris Humphries in Pierce's place, as when he pops for a jumper, the Blazers want him to shoot that shot. The Blazers and the Wizards are two of the best defensive teams in the NBA, so let's talk about it. And here on a drive, Seraphin steps up to provide help, and Chris Humphries will sink and fill, dropping low to prevent a dish pass to Kaman. Then, when the drive has been contained, they rotate on a string back to their respective men and contain the play. Usually, help on a drive comes from the weak side, so Nene would rotate over, but here, Gortat can rotate from the strong side because he's guarding a poor shooter in Thomas Robinson. Not surprisingly, both of these high-ranked defenses defend the screen and roll with ice defense, where the on-ball defender forces the ball handler sideline while the sagging big man contains the drive, and they'll gladly give up this long two, even to Aldridge. Here's Portland performing ice and forcing the ball handler into a long two. And if the guard bypasses the mid-range shot, the sagging big man can contain the drive. The Wizards perform ice and are in perfect position to contain on this play, but notice how unnecessarily Beal helps one pass away off a very good shooter in Wesley Matthews, and that was not a good idea. Lillard attempts to force Wall away from the screen on this play, but notice here how he just doesn't get it done, allowing Wall to drive middle, and it results in a layup. Portland executes ice on this pick and roll, but they eventually have to switch it, which is no big deal. Leonard can contain Wall, and more importantly, it forces the offense to stall, and here they force a tough shot. So the Wizards were executing ice all day, but for some reason Nene tries to hedge this screen and roll out very high, which doesn't make sense. The Blazers say thank you as rotation is forced, and Matthews hits a three. Both teams in this game decided not to double the posts, and I think that's telling since they are both top defenses. They decided to play it one-on-one, even against guys like Aldridge and Nene, and here, certainly, on a Chris Kaman post-up, the Wizards play it straight up and they get a block. Maybe it was a small sample size, but CJ McCollum to me seemed to be a bit lost on defense. He returns his head and allows a drive by Wall, resulting in a make. And here McCollum helps unnecessarily, turning his head and back on Bradley Beal of all people, and he looks very lost out there. Let's pick this one up late, and the Wizards draw up a play called the flare pick and roll, where a shooter Webster will set a ball screen, then receive a flare screen, and the Blazers nicely switch this, but it's perfectly set up. So they have two strong side wings, Beal and Pierce, and neither of the Blazers players can help off one of them, so theoretically, Aldridge is the help, but notice how he has to deal with Gortat's flare screen, so he's out of position, and Wall gets a layup. The Blazers come down and post up Aldridge, and here the Wizards do double him, and Wall needs to go over to cover Matthews, as that's his rotation. He misses him, giving Matthews an open shot, and because they had doubled the post, the blockout assignments were all screwed up, and that caused the offensive rebounds, and then they wait way too long to foul Lillard. The game is pretty much over anyways, but the Wizards turn it over on their next possession, wrapping things up. Well, there you have it guys, a tight played game between two excellent teams, particularly on defense. So thanks for watching and see you next time.